survival of the fittest. Some companies will survive, some businesses will survive, but I just think we have to be a little bit skeptical about AI. I think it's fantastic. I think it's brilliant the way it's integrated into businesses. But I think you have to realize that you've got people like Elon Musk, who is an extraordinary entrepreneur. But really, what is he? He's an entertainer, and he's a fantastic man at telling a story and getting people to part with their money.
Same parents, different timelines, and united by chaos. Strap on, strap in, for the not-so-Christian brothers.
Welcome to Not So Christian Brothers. It's our sort of after show after show. Not so much the usual after show because Justin is still in Malta, in Mdina.
Mdina.
Oh, Mdina. I just wish they'd put the E back in and we could just go Medina.
But it's not Mdina, it's Mdina.
Yeah, that's true. They just said Dalkey instead of Dalkey. Just pronounce the L. Go Dalkey. We're from Dalkey.
Yeah. Well, then you'd be, instead of being in Reading, you'd be in Reading, right?
That's true. Which we could go through the globe in this, Romy.
English is a complicated language.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Okay, so
listen, we've spoken about tech and shares and everything else, right? Yeah. And just as I've been sitting here, I've been looking at the markets,
right?
And the Elon Musk AI float, the SpaceX float, has dropped 16% yesterday,
right.
And the South Korean stock market's down 11%. Global markets are trending down. There's a bit of resistance now, and I believe that maybe the AI thing is the bubble, and maybe that bubble's now starting to burst a little bit. Which, by the way, for economic nerds like me, Alan Greenspan died yesterday, who was the chairman of the Federal Reserve in America for 18 years.
Yeah, I saw that.
But many people believe that he's actually the architect of all of these bubbles, both the housing collapse in Ireland and the AI bubble and the tech bubble in 1999, 2000.
Right. I was listening to just before I was listening to the guy who actually invented, they call him the inventor of the internet. And he was doing it. So there was like 5 people, and there was a room somewhere in London, and they all had a key to this. And that's where the first bit of the data center of the internet started, on this one tiny little box. Anyway, but he was saying that it's a bit like Oppenheimer, that it's just gone to shit. Basically, this is not what we thought, and we need to control it back, drag a little bit of it back in. And this was in response, I think, to England introducing the law, which will come into play in January, which is banning under 16s from social media, which is going to be really tough.
Yes, and actually they're talking about it here in Malta today as well, about the ban. Tim Berners-Lee was the guy who was accredited, or Sir Tim Berners-Lee. I think they knighted them in England.
Knighted, not knifed. I thought I heard knifed.
Well, there's probably people who'd like to knife him on the back of the internet, I'm still not convinced 100% on this banning of social media.
I was going to say I'm still not convinced on the internet.
No, I'm not convinced. I need a few more decades to really bet into it. No, but the social media argument, there's some interesting counter arguments that have been made, even from teenage psychologist lobby groups, where they actually say that there is real benefit for the behaviors that we see, and also they talk about the fact that the lack of there's a decline in kind of drug use and solvent abuse, like glue sniffers, as we used to call them when we were kids. And drugs and teenage pregnancy and all these kind of things have dissipated, because there is a medium for kids to understand a lot more through social media, and there's a mechanism for connection as well. I don't think it's as cut and dry to say that it's going to solve all the years of society. I think it's a nice thing to sell to people. I've championed this, and now we're all going to be happier. But you know what? Like, if it was me and I was 16. I just figured out how to hack into it. And I think they say that 1/3 of all kids know how to do it anyway, right?
This is, okay, look, I do think there's a lot of crazy, bad in the internet. It's a little bit of the Wild West on social media. I mean, TikTok in particular can be just outrageous what they allow on. Actually, it can be outrageous what they allow on and ridiculous what they ban. You know, one of our videos, one of our promos that I put up from about 3 weeks ago was banned.
Is that the one where you were naked dancing in front of the screen, though?
No. They promoted that.
That one was okay.
It was the one where we mentioned something about porn. What was it we were talking about?
How we wanted to monetize our show through porn.
Yes, no, it was you were talking about the fact that when painters used fruit, that it was a sort of there was a significant sort of pornish thing. Yeah, on YouTube as well. Yeah, and I mentioned, well, what if they've got a banana and 2 grapes? How does that look? Bang, it was taken off TikTok. But they allow some horrendous stuff on TikTok. But we're banned because we compared fruit to testicles.
Well, and that comment, the thing that actually comes to my warped mind is that I think you need to go and see a doctor, because the proportionality of your testicles to your penis is the equivalent of 2 grapes to a banana. You, my friend, need some help.
It's perspective. I was thinking more Picasso. I look at myself. Cubanism. Yeah. I look at Cubanism. But no, listen, I think it's just going to, I don't know. It's not going to work. I mean, it's too late. I mean, I think there is awful stuff.
I do think younger kids, I think, okay, I get it. Like if they're under 8, under 9, under 10, and you hold them back for as long as possible, right? I get that. But eventually, you know, the kids that are going to figure out are going to figure out. So I can see the merit in it, but I think under 16, you know, like at under 16, you can leave school, you can get married, you can have kids. It's a bit late.
I think it is a bit late. I think definitely primary school kids, you see them walking around with phones. I think that might be a little bit too dodgy or crazy. Now there are good phones 100%. where you just have 2 numbers in them, and it's like your ma's and your dad's and nothing else, and that's okay. That's, you know, so you can keep. But go back to what's the AI bubble? Why is this blowing up? Is it because we don't trust AI? Is it because people are stepping back from it?
Well, there's a couple of angles on this, right, which are really quite interesting. But one of the key things is that the proponents of the fear, right, that everybody's going to lose their job and AI is going to rule the world. The people who are peddling that are the AI companies, right, and they're spending billions on this marketing. Anthropic last year spent 35 billion on marketing, and they raised revenue of 8 billion. So wow. It doesn't make any sense you spend 35 to get 8. But what they want to do is they want to make everybody think that the future is AI, and if you're not part of it, you're over. Right. Because they want you buying AI stocks. They want you investing in their business so that they can keep growing and make themselves incredibly rich. But actually, I was talking to an MIT professor on this point in the States 2 weeks ago. I just finished a course over there. Yeah. And the point he said to me was, you know, it's overhyped, because at the end of the day, we're nowhere near having AI good enough to get rid of a load of staff, right? I mean, yes, there might be some jobs that go, right? But equally, those jobs may just change and adapt, because essentially, if you say, well, okay, I've got 3 people who work in my office and I'm a small business and they do the admin for me, I can fire them all and get an AI. Well, you can't, because Claude or ChatGPT isn't going to be 1 minute writing an email for you and the next minute photocopying something, a minute later delivering something to the post office to be sent by special delivery, and then maybe making a cup of tea. Like, the reality is these AI bots can make your communication a bit more grandiose. They can make sure your grammar's in good shape. They can tidy up your documents. They can do fantastic things inside Excel, etc. But they're not really going to replace humans. So when you strip that back, then the big question mark is, have we just massively overhyped the value of what this thing can deliver? And if we have, then you know, it starts to meet a lot of the tests of it being a bubble.
So that was the .com, wasn't it? That was the .com bubble. Exactly. We saw. Yeah. We thought exactly. Our lives were going to be run by computers and the internet. It was a version of the AI bubble.
It was, and you know, and I think like it was pets.com, I think, was valued at like $500 million or something, right? And then when the market collapsed, it was valued at nothing. I mean, interestingly, Apple's Amazon's stock fell by 95%, right? And if you had bought $1,000 of Amazon stock when the markets collapsed,
Yeah.
you would be a millionaire right now, right?
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't mean that all AI firms will fail, and it doesn't mean that AI is wrong, but it's back to what we spoke about in the last episode, Darwinism, right? It's survival of the fittest. Some companies will survive, some businesses will survive, but I just think we have to be a little bit skeptical about AI. I think it's fantastic. I think it's brilliant the way it's integrated into businesses. But I think you have to realize that you've got people like Elon Musk, who is an extraordinary entrepreneur. But really, what is he? He's an entertainer, and he's a fantastic man at telling a story and getting people to part with their money.
Yeah. And he's making money off that, but is the product and the brand. Do you know, just as you mentioned, there was two things that came to mind about Elon Musk this week. One was this very funny comedian, and he was talking about life in the 70s and how milk was delivered. And he said it was delivered in the 70s by the prototype of the Tesla, and nobody knew. Do you remember they were all electric things? They were all electric vehicles that did the. And we always looked at them going, that's nuts, that is. The milkman's got an electric cart. It was the prototype Tesla. And the second one is that the Ukrainian drones, these mid-range drones that they now have, are creating so much damage inside Russia that there's a plan, some say, inside of Russia that they're going to try and knock out the Starlink satellite, because that's what the Ukrainians are using to identify, to fly, and to find where everything is. And they cannot hit these mid-range drones. So somebody came up with the idea, well, let's hit Starlink. Let's hit the satellite. That's it's a great movie, isn't it? I mean, if it does happen.
It is. But, I was out for a run in Greystones a couple of weeks ago, and there was a drone, right, flying around by me. And there was some kids off in the distance who were flying this drone. So they were trying to intimidate people who were out walking and running with the drones. So they would swoop down and come at you. But I found it actually brought a piece of reality to me, thinking, imagine if you were outside and this thing is targeting you.
Yeah.
And it's coming at you. Like, it was extraordinarily fast. I mean, the last time I saw a drone was 5 or 6 years ago when Luca was a kid.
Yeah.
And he had one. But this thing was lethal. I mean, it was traveling at, I would say, 100 plus miles an hour. Like, it was so fast, and it was so small, and the sound of it was harrowing. I just thought, I can just see how horrendous this is as a weapon. And that's front-loaded cameras. They're literally watching you.
Yeah.
And they're just going to come in, boom, and kill you. I mean, it's an incredible piece of technology. And in fairness, like, I don't really find any great value in supporting anything that kills people, but I think it's an amazing, when you talk about this line of asymmetric warfare, right, where you have Ukraine that just can't roll tanks and fight Russia head on. It has to have a different tactic. It has to use asymmetry, which the Iranians do against the Americans. But they created, which really, if you think about, go back to 5 years ago, drones were mainly kids' toys.
Yeah.
And they've now adapted them into weapons that are wreaking havoc. I mean, in St. Petersburg, when Putin was at a conference and he was talking, they were hitting buildings in St. Petersburg.
I know, it's mad. And the guys that are probably controlling these were little geeky guys in secondary school in Ukraine, and everyone's telling them, get the job, what are you going to do? And now they're technically saving the country because they've hit this, it's the Ripsol oil refinery, which 12% of all oil refined in Russia and around Crimea comes from here. They've hit it 7 times in 2 weeks. They just cannot, they can't stop it. They're just coming in there. So they haven't found a way of actually knocking these guys out of the sky. They're coming in so fast. And they know that maybe in a couple of weeks' time, then Russia will find a way of actually, evading this or knocking these drones out. But in the meantime, they're hitting this every night. Like, it's crazy. But it made me think that this is the war that we'll remember. This will be the drone war. The Gulf War was the first war televised, and the Vietnam War was the first war in color. So every war brings us some benefit.
Well, all of our technological evolutions come from war. The space program is on the back of the V1 bombs that the Germans were firing at London at the end of World War II, and all of the Germans were either pulled into the Soviet program or NASA, because they developed that technology. So adversity creates innovation.
Well,
and war is the biggest.
Very effective condoms came from World War II. Before that, they were sort of dodgy. They were never too sure. And then, So the technology of the condom advanced greater steps across the 6 years of the World War II than it did in the period of like 200 years when it was like a little prophylactic. And you can Google that.
I always like that word, prophylactic.
I know, I'm going into a chemist. Yeah. What was the other expression they had in England? Hello, chemist, do you have something for the weekend? That was the expression.
Yes.
Yeah, the guy has a song, something for the weekend, because gentleman wants something for the weekend. Oi, Willie wants a condom. So,
sorry, just to go back, I'd just like to apologise to our viewers and listeners for your absolute horrendous attack on the Ukrainian accent.
Oh, was it bad? Was it?
Yeah, it was bad.
But it was only for about 30 seconds.
It was. Could have been Pakistani, I don't know, but it may even sound Russian. So we apologize. But let me tell you a story about Ukraine. I was in Cardiff 2 weeks ago, and I got this taxi from my hotel to an office I was going to. And on the way in the taxi, I said to the guy, "I've only flown in yesterday from Dublin, and I don't have any Starlink." And I tap, and he went, "Oh, you can't tap because the hotel booked the car." So, and I went, "Well, I haven't got any cash." And he said, "Oh, we'll figure it out when we get there, right?" So he drives me and my colleague who's Irish for 20 minutes across the city. We get there, we're getting out, and I said to him, "So can we tap? If you figured it out, can we tap?" And he went, No. He said, "But he said, I'm Ukrainian, and he said, for Irish people, this taxi ride is free. Thank you for everything that your country does for our country."
There you go.
Now, I don't really think I've done a whole lot myself personally.
I don't think you've done anything.
Really. Probably not, no.
Terrible that you're the figurehead for the nation in Cardiff.
But I was the charitable face of the Irish effort to support Ukraine. So as such, I've reaped the entire reward.
Many times that week did you use them?
Oh, constantly.
Right. We finish up because this is the week where everyone goes off on their little vacations, as in school, the school tour, the amazing school tour. And sometimes it happens in primary school and then very early in secondary school. Very quickly, we both were in St. Aidan's in Collins Avenue, and it was secondary school, second year, and we went by bus and ferry across to Stratford-upon-Avon, and it was a cultural visit to the home of Willie Shakespeare. Which was fantastic. Now, on the way, you'd stop off at some of the service stations along the way, and a particular chap called Robert, I won't give his full name, bought an air gun, because you could buy an air gun, a little pistol air gun, and you get the little bullets. They were banned in Ireland that stage because the IRA were still messing. Anyway, so you could buy this air gun, and he bought one. Now, you weren't allowed to buy one. You were meant to buy sweets, but he bought an air gun. So off we went to walk around William Shakespeare's house, and it was pretty boring, He didn't even have a typewriter. Anyway, so Robert, me, and another chap said we're going to see the toilets. So these are not William Shakespeare's toilets upstairs. This is the public toilet outside, which is all fantastically tiled, right? And Robert pulls out his gun, messing, right, with a little air bullet in it, and pretends to shoot us. But it ricocheted under one of the toilets and shot an English bloke at the very top of his leg. And all you could hear him scream was, "I've been shot," as he's on the crapper in William Shakespeare's toilets. And we had to lash out. And then we were lined up. Okay, which one of you shot the Irish bloke? And I was going, this is just like history, really, isn't it?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that would have been what, early 80s? So at that stage, there was a lot of Irish people going around being hunted by the British. So shooting people with an Irish accent in England was probably not, safe.
Yeah. I don't know how many English people have been shot in William Shakespeare's toilets, but I'd say that possibly was the first. And that was my story.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Well, I I remember going on a school trip again in the same school. We both went to the same school, albeit 12 years apart. And for context, I was much later, the younger, more handsome brother of the household.
Yeah, I'll let all that go because you're in Malta. I can't get to you. Go on.
But we went to Paris and then we went to Germany, right? And on a bus, right? There was this wasn't airfares or anything else, right? This was a rickety old bus that picks you up outside St. Aidan's in Whitehall, and we all threw up and got sick on it. It had no air conditioning, all the rest of it, right? But a couple of things I remember. One was that we were on the ferry going over to France, and at that stage, Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses was in the charts, and everybody was out moshing, and there was a massive turbulence, right? So the storm, and the boat was rocking from left to right, and there was lads throwing up everywhere. And we all got hold of a load of drink, and they eventually came in with water hoses to water cannon us down so that they could get us into our bedrooms. So that was the kind of the people on the boat, the staff. That's it, right? Staff, yes. There was people. There was on the boat. It was a people boat.
It was a people boat.
So that was the start of it. But then we got to Paris. We were in Paris, and I was the youngest in my class. I hadn't hit puberty at this stage, right? So I was a 12-year-old, relatively naive one. And then a lot of the other boys had hit puberty.
Oh, yeah.
And we're in the bedroom, and they're talking about the fact that they can now produce this new serum from said body part, right? And I'm sharing a bedroom, and there's, I don't know, 10 of us in the room, and 5 of them start knocking one out.
Okay.
Whilst they're in the room. And we're all in the same room, and they're talking about it. And I'm sitting there going, this is wrong on many levels, right? But I started to notice that they all had this obsession with sex, which hadn't really kicked in for me yet.
Okay.
So 2 weeks later, we're at a German Autobahn service station, and I see them all mesmerized looking at this pornography on the top shelf.
Yeah.
And I managed to buy some, sneak it into my luggage, hide it from the Christian Brothers, because they would have taken it and used it themselves.
Because it was not so Christian Brothers to have that.
Not so Christian Brothers, definitely, to have pornography, right? And snuck it back as contraband to Ireland. And then for the next 6 months, I used to rent it out over weekends. I had about 8 of them, and rent them out for $5 over the weekend. I had a little book with everybody's name and who owed me money. And our mother, my mom, hello, Frances Caffrey.
Hi, Fran.
Found the book, found a load of cash tucked inside socks in my drawer. Thought I was selling drugs. Turned the room upside down, found the porn, and laid me bare in front of the gave it to Dad. And she shot me to the school, and I got suspended.
Oh my God! You got suspended?
Yeah.
And what did you make? I can't remember that. You never told me that before. Did you make much money out of it?
My memory always is, I don't think I've ever had as much cash as I did back then. Like it was just endless. Like I could see why people could be sucked into being pornographers, because there was always a willing party ready to hand over some cash for the country. Because don't forget, at this stage in Ireland, Playboy was banned, right? There was no pornography allowed in Ireland at all. So this stuff was like, and this was German porn in like 1988. So
you were the North Side's very first porn baron.
I think so, yeah. It didn't last very long, though.
Title to have, really.
I think our mother just took all the money and kept it as well, because I don't think I ever got that money back.
Which technically made her the first female North Side pimp.
Yeah.
God, I have to. And you asked me why I changed my name. Yes. And on that.
So anybody else has school tours that they remember, especially if you were from our school, fill in the gaps, or if you have school memories from your time, tell us. Get on social media, send us a message. You can also message us on our website, notsochristianbrothers.com. There's a link in there where you can actually just send us a message directly. But we're everywhere, on all the socials, we're on all the channels, wherever you get your podcasts, and we're on YouTube.
We're there. Okay. And
Terry's not with us this week because he screwed up our tech, and we've had to put him in the corner, stuck in his
Terry's
phone.
in the corner there. Terry, let's just bring Terry in because in case people are missing it.
Here I am. Here I am. Yes, I am.
Because Terry, Terry fucked up the tech this week. So he used to be called Terry
in the corner.
He used to be called Terry Tech. Now he's called Terry Twat. Right. Thank you for watching. Bye.